Welcome back to the channel, sports fans and Arsenal lovers all over the world. Let's look at a very, very interesting topic again today, right? Now, we just heard that William Saliba will be out with injury for 3 to 4 weeks. And when I first heard of the news, I just felt not again. Last season, everybody kept talking about how we lost the league because we had poor referee decisions, but most importantly, we had injuries, piling injuries throughout the season. It affected us in the Premier League, affected the Champions League, and then there's a lot of talk too about the fact that we didn't have a striker. But the injury thing was something that stood out as what made Arsenal to really fall out of the race against Liverpool. Now, I must admit that the injury situation is not just with Arsenal. Every team experiences injuries, especially when they go on international break. But Arsenal's situation is starting to get chronic, and it's beginning to be worrisome. And there has to be conversations had with the physios at Arsenal and the medical team, because if you think about Arsenal right now, historically, you know about players that are injury prone. Historically, Thomas Rosicky, we know about his injury, chronic injury situation. You know about Van Persie. You know he will have 1 or 2 good seasons here and there, but for the most part, within a season, he will miss at least 5 to 10 games on the treatment table. But now it's almost like with Arsenal, every player is injury prone, and it's starting to get worrisome. Because think about it, somebody like Gabriel Magalhaes from the defense, Gabriel Magalhaes, Calafiori, now Saliba, Timber, Ben White. You can't think of any player in Arsenal that will not spend at least 4 to 8 weeks on the treatment table within a season. You got into the midfield, even this guy that we just signed, Noga, who we didn't know to be injury prone before now. He has not played a single Premier League game for Arsenal, but he's already out and we don't even know when he's back. He's been injured now for, this is the 3rd week going into the 4th week of the season, and he's still not back. So think about it, because Isaka, he's for many years, many seasons, whether you want to use him in the Premier League, the FA Cup, the Champions League, he's there, Mr. Reliable. But of late, you can't think of any. We know about Gabriel Jesus, chronic. He must always be injured every season. Now, Kai Havertz, before he came to Arsenal, he was one guy that you can always rely on and depend on. Kai Havertz will always be there. He will play week in, week out. I believe he contributed to his problem because he burnt out. Hamstring injuries are things that happen most of the time when you don't get rotations, you don't get enough rest, and you burn out, you pick up hamstring injuries. But almost everybody in Arsenal at this point, look at Martin Odegaard. Last season he was injured for a while, and this season now he's picked up some form of injury or the other. I'm hoping we don't do that same thing to Victor Gyökeres, because he needs rotations, and whatever it is that is going on with our physios and our medical staff, they need to not. We shouldn't make Victor Gyökeres go out on a spell, because we don't have a cover for him yet. I don't see Trossard as a formidable enough number 9 when we go to games like Manchester City. We can tolerate it for other lower teams in the table, but not the big games. Even Newcastle United away is not a game you want to be without Victor Gyökeres, so we need to be very careful. He's on international break now. We hope he comes back fit. But the key thing to note here is that this season is not that season where anybody's going to excuse Mikel Arteta. Last season you can say, oh, we didn't have a striker, now we have a striker. But the stakes keep getting higher, to be fair. And what the season Arsenal met last season, where Manchester City had just won 4 Premier League titles and they were just chilling and almost got complacent. There was no real challenge. It took a Liverpool who had a bit of luck as well, because they didn't have injuries. They didn't have the likes of Mo Salah, or Van Dijk picking up major injuries, so they could go through the season without any issues and won the Premier League. But this season, regardless of what is going on, questions will be asked about Mikel Arteta if Arsenal end up coming second for the 4th time. So there will be no excuses. Nobody's going to tolerate the fact that, oh, you had injuries. Saliba getting injured, you feel for him, because there's a bit of, when you listen to what the interview he had, Mikel Arteta had after the match against Liverpool, you could see that he had the option to take him out, because he said he felt something. We could actually have rested him and played one of the other options we had, but he chose to play. And I'm not going to blame Arteta for that. Why fans are a bit edgy right now is because we ended up not getting anything out of that Liverpool game. So it's easy to blame Arteta for that. But for a game you prepared with a player for strategy and tactics for almost a week, and then the very last minute, it could hit the confidence of the other players. So I can understand why he went ahead to play Saliba that day. But overall, over the 38 games of the Premier League and the entire season, nobody's going to excuse Mikel Arteta. The reason why you signed players, like Hincapié, like Mosquera, is because of situations like this. So, and I also heard a comment. I think it was the goalkeeper who was saying something about how the changes we've made to the team will require time for people to settle down. All of that is good to hear. But trust me, nobody will excuse Mikel Arteta at the end of this season, regardless of how many injuries Arsenal pick up along the way. So the stakes keep getting higher. Trust me, this season it's about strengthening every weak position. Just imagine what the transfer window next regardless of who even wins the Premier League. Imagine what the transfer window of 2026 will look like. where teams like Liverpool can boast of already 2 solid strikers and the attack line is really solid. But then they'll be looking for any weak spots. Maybe at that point, what they'll be looking for is how they can, get long-term replacements for the like of Musala and Van Dijk, who will probably be aging at that point. Most likely, that's the time they'll start to slow down a bit. But it will be about plugging every weak hole, every single spot we need to have an A player. So this season, nobody's going to tolerate, we didn't have a striker, you bought Vitor Gyökeres. You won't say, we had injuries, you have squad depth, so there'll be no excuses. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. I really feel for Mikel Arteta because the stakes are really high this season. And it doesn't matter that Van Dijk, that Saliba is injured, everybody will demand results from Arsenal this season. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.